Hello and welcome to Platinum Panel. I'm your host Mace, and today we have an open panel discussion where we allow members of our Discord to join, and we have a list of topics that we go through one by one. And sometimes they end in a pleasant discussion, and sometimes they end in a heated debate. To figure out which one happens, watch the video. If you are interested in joining the conversation, you can join our Discord, link in the description, like, comment, and subscribe. And now for today's Platinum Panel.
By examining his own attitude towards the possibilities of peace.
Tariffs on Canadian steel would be entirely unjustified.
I have detractors? I don't believe it.
So when you say absolute freedom, do you mean people have full free will as to what they can do within the physical realm of this physical realm? Yeah. Okay, with the input like that, bearable. So if somebody wishes to force himself upon another, no, that kind of free will should not be allowed, as that is immoral and unethical. If somebody wishes to pursue their happiness and enjoyment, that should be their full right to do so, as long as it does not violate others' happiness and their own will.
Yeah, okay. I agree with that, first of all. I don't know what there is to disagree with for me, but on God, what do you think?
Yeah, no, it's a pretty agreeable statement. I would take it a little bit further in the sense that everyone should have the freedoms that are entitled to them as long as they don't tread on someone else's rights, right? And this is, I believe, the doctrine that the Supreme Court still uses today. Essentially, like, you are given the freedoms that you can have, just as long as, you don't fuck with someone else's freedoms, I think that a little bit of it is misunderstood in terms of, like, the First Amendment and the Second Amendment, but other than that, like, the First
Elaborate what you
Amendment.
think is misinterpreted.
Sorry.
What I mean by misinterpreted by the First Amendment, I think a lot of people, when they hear free speech, I think they hear that means you can say whatever you want. But there's a reason why, like, yelling fire in, like, a crowded building is considered, like, a crime. And there's another reason why inciting a crowd to go riot at a Capitol building, wink, wink. There's a reason why that's also illegal, or at least should be illegal.
So when it comes to the amendments, all the amendments that we have on the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Bills of Rights, those are only summary. To actually truly define it, it requires somebody to specialize in certain amendments to actually bring clarity as to what defines those amendments for our free wills and rights, God-given rights. So, like freedom of speech, or the right to bear arms, for example. So before the Prohibition. So before the Prohibition, anybody can own explosives right out the bag. Same thing with fully automatic weapons. You can have, like, military grade weapons, and there would not be any kind of repercussions. Yeah, after the Prohibition era, the NRA was created, and they created different levels of weaponry, 1 through 5, and depending on what the weapon is, will determine if it's like a level 1, 3, 5, whatever. Shotguns, those are level 5, but yet you can still purchase them pretty much. But if you want a fully automatic shotgun or rifle or even a pistol, you have to file a form.
Tax, right?
It's not just tax. So when it comes to fully automatic weapons, that is a completely separate level of weaponry. That I believe is a level 1 or 2. I want to say
Probably 2. I would assume 1's probably for explosives, like explosive launching with machinery. Yeah.
I'm trying to recall all these different levels. I might be getting some of these backwards or wrong.
Right, and you don't have to be too technical about it. Like, as long as we get the idea, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So whenever you want a fully automatic weapon, you got to put in a form to get appropriate licenses for those weapons. Not every civilian can have access, or not every civilian. Majority of civilians, if it's just like, well, for me, for example, I like firearms. So if I want a fully automatic weapon, let's say a 50 cal machine gun that can mount on top of my Infinity, I legally cannot do that.
Right.
If I were to have possession of said weapon, fully functional weapon, I have to leave it at home on the fields most of the time. The only time I'd be able to take it away from the fields is like during a moment of duress. Like, let's say a tyrannical, our government goes tyrannical, then I can actually take it off my land and utilize it. If I want to have a submachine gun like a C-140, those LNGs require a different kind of licensing that I can mount a weapon on my vehicle, or a AR-15, M4A10, etc. For explosives, I think, for explosives, you need to have an explosive license to be able to purchase those. And you can only go through certain portals to acquire said explosives right off the back. So most explosives you can make at home. That makes sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
My opinion is, I think the idea of freedom being a myth, or is absolute freedom a myth, and government regulating choices, I believe that the government should not regulate choices overly. So, like, I am not a paternalist. I don't believe that restriction of things or ideas should happen happen. I think that if things are proven to be overtly harmful to the population, and it's something that can be controlled under the guise or sense of a civil society, I think that we should limit it. Like, we had this argument earlier today about the pornography thing. Like, I think that, like, you could be able to limit through means that is very soft. I don't think we should use force much to regulate personal choices, but it depends. Like, I think that you have to go case by case basis for this. You have to try to understand the differences between different things. Like, for example, like firearms is extremely complex and nuanced, like you said. I mean, there's lots of different reasons on both sides for why firearms are good and why they're bad. So, like, I think that there's a reason why the United States has states, and we let the states and their own groups of people decide what is best for themselves. That's kind of like my opinion. What about yourself?
I can agree with that up to the point where like we did try and like it shouldn't be the states doing most of the decisions in the sense that like on like a local level that's fine, but like for like federal things like regarding like the amendments, I think that should be a federal thing. Just because like we tried doing like, the whole state thing with the Articles of Confederation, it didn't work. That's why we have the U.S. Constitution.
Like, for example, like lots of things. Like, I mean, abortion. Like, people like, I think it should be federally kept. Like, I don't think states should just have like the right to ban it because it's a form of healthcare. I don't think that states should have the right to be able to, like segregate people, because I guarantee you 1 or 2 states might want to segregate black people again, probably, if they were able to get control of things. I mean, like, I think that there should be a balance between federal control, in a level, and there should be like local control. Like, I feel like local groups should be able to decide what laws they want to make. They should be able to make their own choices, and I think that the government should be able to reflect those choices. I mean, when it comes to personal choices, though, like, I don't know, like I said, I'm not really a paternalist. I'm not a fan of, like, controlling individual people's lives. I think that's a huge downturn on the economy when you do that. Like, if I start regulating your intake of, like, I don't know, like food or milk, or I start regulating how much stuff you can consume, or, like, how many things you can do, and there's no necessity to do that, or, like, it's not proven to be harmful, it's, like, pretty bad for the economy. So that's kind of my opinion on it. What about you, Mace? What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree to that. My whole thing is like, whatever we want to do to like disincentivize this behavior, just make it a little more inconvenient. Like if you're going to buy tobacco, right, you have to give them your ID. That's an annoying thing. And if you're under the age, boom, you don't have an ID, or you got a fake one, which is illegal. You have those steps. So it's like, I feel like for a lot of things, it's like it just,
what about service members?
Simple regulation solves a lot of things, I think.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, I think you should be able to do what you want. Like I said, the conversation, I think 18 plus, go ahead, enjoy it. The people in the video hopefully were both consenting, making money from it. You're supporting a business whether you like it or not.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious. What's y'all's opinion when it comes to a 17-year-old who is serving in the military, United States military, and being able to drink, smoke, do everything that a 21-year-old can do?
I mean, if you're enough to fucking die for the country, you ought to be able to buy a beer. I mean, that seems pretty easy to me.
I mean, like alcohol consumption. Like, I think governments are way too strict on alcohol consumption. I think it's ridiculous. In Germany, you can just drink light beers at any age. In Germany, if you're 14, you can have like, I think, beer and wine and like other forms of like medium to light liquor. And then once you're 16, like as long as you have it with parent consent, and then once you're 16, you can buy beer or light to medium liquors at stores. And once you're 16, you get the ability to be able to have spirits and stronger alcohols like spirit, vodka, whiskey, all that stuff, like rum, all that stuff. You can have those under, parental permission. And then once you're 18, you can just go buy whatever you want. You can sign whatever contracts you want. You can go buy whatever you want. And I think that like the whole idea of how old a person should be able to drink alcohol is like kind of ridiculous. Like I think that like it should be lowered, and I think we should create, a positive culture surrounding, alcohol consumption and like proper responsibility, instead of stigmatizing it so badly like we do, where parents hype it up as like the worst thing ever. It should just be something that is treated as a reality of life, and parents should educate and teach their kids how to drink responsibly and safely when they come to age. That's kind of my take
Yeah.
on it.
Well, I mean, a lot of that is generational. Like, my parents specifically, my grandparents are, all of them are pretty much heavy drinkers, and like that's like a big thing that like really got my like parents mad whenever they talk about their parents, is like how they used to be like alcoholic to a degree that was so unhealthy it was like genuinely harmful on their lives. And when we look at like the general goal of a parent is to like make life better, or like create an environment that creates a better environment for their kids, right? So when we look at that, we talk about alcohol. I think a lot of it comes from like this generational thing, along with smoking and other like drugs like that. Not so much newer drugs. Newer drugs are more like weed. Weed's not necessarily new. It's just more accepted, I guess. Actually, yeah.
See, and with things like
I'm not
that,
sure.
like, I think that's where personal responsibility does come in. You
Wait.
know what I mean? Like,
Speaking.
like you have to have the responsibility to say, hey, I'm going too much. I'm drinking too much. I'm going to the bar too much. I need to do something about this. I need to see someone. I need to, do this thing to not do this as much. And I feel like don't punish the whole class for one kid. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
Wait,
raising
I'm not
insurance rates. Fuck them.
Come on, couldn't that
I'm not
argument
sure.
be used to like be in favor of like drunk driving?
No, because
What?
we objectively know that like causes harm. That like that.
Right, but that's only
that-
because
that is a bad thing, and we need to like definitely not let people drink and drive.
Drunk
Right,
driving
but the only-
nowadays, like
Well,
in the West, isn't really an issue anymore. It's more distracted driving now. Like when you're on your phone driving or you're not paying attention.
And if we're being real,
Um,
like I think there's people that can get away with driving at a higher limit than that, but I don't think we should advocate for that. I feel like
I mean, the argument that you're using there, like the whole like one person ruins it for the whole class, is like that's like the whole thing, right? Because like you can be a drunk driver, but like as long as you drive like a normal person, nobody knows that you're a drunk driver, right? It's only the people who are like the quote unquote drunk crashers, right?
Well, yeah, but that's kind of the thing, right? Is like they crashed, they did the thing, they were obviously too drunk to drive. They caused
Right, and
some
that's why
sort of
I think
harm.
that we should have like government like systems in place to like help prevent this. Like we already have like obviously drunk driving is illegal, but we also have stuff like Uber now and Lyft that help with that. And I think more public transportation would really help with that.
Yeah,
like
but why so expensive? Why is the price so high for Uber and Lyft now?
because they're private companies who can set their own charges.
Yes, I'm fully down for
Capitalism.
a nationalized taxi system. I'd be totally down for that.
It's one thing about Uber and Lyft. Prices got too fucking high.
That's so true.
Oh wait, no.
That's it.
One thing I want to mention, like on ongodilovewater, when you said that weed, well, like it's more normalized. Do you know it's surprisingly normalized, but you know what's actually like still illegal, considered stigmatized, but when reality, hella people doing it so common? Coke. Coke.
Oh yeah,
is
for
a common
sure.
drug.
Yeah, that's like
Like,
surprisingly
dude, like
common.
really any party drug
man.
nowadays is extremely like common.
Right.
Like most fucker, like I had some dude at my workplace who was dealing acid out to coworkers, and the store didn't care.
And it's like, should that really be a problem? Like, as long as they don't pop the acid at work, you know what I mean? If they did and went through work, well, okay, cool, they didn't cause any problem. But once it starts becoming a problem, something needs to be done about it. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, no,
my take on it.
I agree with that. Like, I think that drugs should be legalized, or legalized at least more so than they are. But I think that we should also have increased mental health services and recovery systems, because taking acid as a way to recover from mental health problems is, like, probably not the greatest way to cope. Like, there's better mechanisms to cope with that, like therapy. At least that's
It's called psychedelic therapy. Have you heard of the mushroom therapy?
Well, I know mushrooms
Yeah,
are
I've heard
good for
that.
your brain. I know mushrooms are beneficial. Like, I'm talking about like other drugs though than that are.
Or
Like,
how about the ayahuasca, the spiritual? You heard about one, spiritual tea ayahuasca?
Oh, yeah.
No, I've never heard of that
Isn't
one.
that made from the dragonfly?
DMT, ayahuasca uses DMT as its active ingredient. It's used by these tribes in South America.
Where can I find that tribe by chance, guy? Would you guys like to move on to the next topic? I got another.
Okay, go.
Is political correctness necessary, or is it ruining free speech? What's your thoughts on that? It kind of relates to the last one,
Mhm.
but what do we think about this?
I don't think it's bad to have like a general etiquette whenever it comes to public things. Because whenever you talk about like political correctness, usually that comes along with something like cancel culture, which which is debated on whether it's even a real thing or not. But all it is just like a mass social ostracization. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That word, yeah. You know what I mean? It's just a bunch of people saying, yo, this guy did something bad, and we all need to acknowledge it, and we all need to, act according. And it doesn't even last forever for everybody. It's not like you're canceled and then you're done. Like you come back. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's bad to have a public social etiquette.
I disagree with the point on where you said that like cancel culture doesn't affect people, because there's like certainly some people that are like affected by it. I mean, while I think that like saying certain slurs is extremely harmful and like people shouldn't say it, I feel like getting people fired from their jobs for jokes that are, these jokes are not great. They're in horrible taste, right? But getting people fired over jokes, in my opinion, is kind of insane. But I mean, that's my personal take on it.
I guess let me clarify. Cancel culture only happens to normal people. Like people who, do say the thing online that like gets them fired, or, the plane lady that said, oh, that motherfucker isn't real, like losing her job because of that video or whatever. But as far as like famous people getting canceled, or like politicians or influencers, whoever you want to say, like, yeah, they said a bad word, they did a bad thing, let's let them know that, hey, we don't like this, that's a bad thing, you shouldn't have done that,
Yeah, it's also like up to like people's own personal like choices too, right? Like I feel like so many people who get into this quote unquote cancel culture trap are just like stupid about going about being a memer or whatever they're trying to do. Like they're just being irresponsible. Like they're bringing it upon themselves essentially. Like if you go out and go to like in the middle of town, right? Like I mean, this is logical, right? Like you say the N-word online, there's going to be almost no repercussions because you're, anonymous. But like if you go out and you go scream that word, you're going to get your ass is getting jumped, almost guaranteed, or you'll get extremely bad stares. So like I feel like it's just common sense not to say these things like ever. I think it's just, I don't even think cancel culture kind of really exists, but I think it's just like a natural thing that occurs when people do or make mistakes, because people want to, I guess, get justice and get vengeance, or I don't know. But that's just my kind of thoughts on it. I think it's just a natural thing that'll occur if you do stupid things. Fuck around and find out, I guess.
Yeah, I think yeah, pretty much that, except I think my only difference would be that even if you end up like losing your job over it, I think that's like completely fair. Like businesses have the right to like refuse like their like the opportunity of work to you, right? And like if that's because you were being a dumbass on the internet, then like yeah, I mean that fucking sucks, but actions have consequences. I mean that's just how it is.
Man, yeah, I guess you're true. I wasn't thinking about it from that aspect. I was more so thinking about it, the people who instigate it. Like I'm not talking about the private businesses. Like well, I believe you should have union protections mandated pretty much everywhere, but I think that corporations, especially especially like I guess corporations with no union oversight, like they do reserve the right to employ whoever they want. And I was more so talking about the people who go out of their way to cancel people. Like I find that a bit crazy and ridiculous. That's kind of what I was talking about, but I don't know. It's just my thoughts.
I can agree with that, yeah. Like going out of your way to like make someone lose their job is ridiculous. But like if you're just like doing like a background check on someone and that just pops up, then like yeah, I think you have every right.
Oh,
Yeah.
What about the canceling of video games? Remember that? Where video games were getting banned, or you need to like restrict them. Like remember California used to have a law where you had to ask ID for M-rated games?
That's pretty fair. I mean, yeah, those are age restricted games for a reason, you know.
No, but Supreme Court ruled that that's unconstitutional. Stores should not, like the state shouldn't force stores to do that.
Oh,
the state
okay,
is
but
not
yeah,
allowed
no,
to
I remember
enforce
that.
like the state itself. They should not enforce GameStop to ask for IDs if you want to buy Grand Theft Auto when you're 14.
Right, because the whole MSRB rating isn't like a federal thing. Like it's nationally used, but it's not like a law or anything.
Yeah,
I
I
know
think
it's a
it's a
yeah,
little
okay.
ridiculous to have to ask for ID for like a game, but like also, is it any different than like Steam not letting you buy? Does Steam not let you buy games whenever, like if your account says you're under a certain age? Does it?
Yeah, it won't let you.
Just like how YouTube won't allow you to watch certain videos if you're not 17 or 18. Remember that?
Yeah, and
That's
that's if
pretty
your
fair,
account's
man.
correct. But I guess I don't know. I think it's like if I'm going to GameStop. I mean, not that I have to worry about under, but if a kid is going to GameStop, it's not like they're going to the liquor store. You know what I mean? Like I feel like you can
Right.
kind kind of just judge. Like, I feel like if you got the cool GameStop worker, it's like, yo, you're definitely 12, but I'll sell you GTA anyway. Your mom probably doesn't care. Like, should he be doing something that's like breaking the law? You know what I mean? I feel like that's just a little silly.
Like, I got denied twice. Like, I remember when I was a lot younger, I tried to buy GTA 5 on my own, and I had to ask my mom, I'm like, Mom, can I have GTA 5? And then, like, she finally said yes after, like, the third time, but I got denied twice. Which
For me, it really depends on M-rated games. Like, my dad was A-okay with me with Mortal Kombat, because just, oh, that's just a combat game, go ahead. It's just fighting. My dad said, it all depends. He was okay with God of War, because just, oh, that's history. Go ahead, because, like, we watch Game of Thrones, so I'm okay with you with God of War.
So like, I would almost maybe be down with, in the context of video games, like, maybe not a whole rating system, but like any video game that's definitely like X-rated, like, should be maybe to that degree that should have like an ID federal thing, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
if GTA, like, the worst thing you're gonna do is go to the strip club, like, that's not a
yeah, like, most of the like, GTA is like, okay, there's all those jokes when you're younger, like, don't let your mom see the GTA loading streams, but, like, legitimately, the vast majority of, like, GTA's gameplay is not even as bad as, like, watching some shows. It's, like, pretty, like, tame, even for modern standards. Like, if I was younger, I'd be more scared of my mom walking in, catching me playing a game like Doom than GTA, because in GTA 5, there's, like, 3 whole scenes with, like, sex in it that's mandatory that you have to go through. Like, it's...
But with Doom, why would you not want your mom seeing you play Doom?
Well, I mean, it's like ripping apart monsters and demons and things. I'm talking about, like, if I was 12.
That's religious as hell.
Wait, what? Shit, when I was
Yeah,
12,
I'm talking
I was
about different taste. I mean, my mom actually likes those stuff because she liked the movie Alien, so she's okay with me like playing those like alien fighting games because of the movie.
I mean, that's
My
fair
mom didn't
enough.
really care if I played rated M games when I was a kid. She knew that I understood the difference between the video game and reality.
Exactly, that's what my parents were like.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like there's like almost, I don't even think there's really any literature to back up the fact that video, like, as long as you have, like, if you go out and do sports and you come home and you play video games are actually kind of a benefit, because a lot of video games require problem solving and things like that, so you kind of have to get a vibe and, you know, you have to, like,
Yeah,
basically get
Manhunt. So
smarter.
remember the game Manhunt? That was like banned in Australia. Remember that game, you guys?
Oh,
the
yeah.
game that's in the GTA universe.
Oh, yeah,
That actually has a lot of
Wasn't there
learning.
a video game that was banned in the United States for being too gory?
I think
And to
it could be Manhunt. It's just that it was told like tone it down. Because remember Manhunt, it was only going to get released with an adults only rating. But for it to get into stores, they had to they had to give it the M rating. They had to water it down just so they can get like store approval. Yeah, you're talking about Manhunt too.
I was thinking Postal for a second, like the one that got banned in the US. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's surprisingly hard to find actually in video games. Those visual novel games, those are hard to find. Like A Fairy Tale of Memories, like you cannot find the original game because like if you know the original content of like A Fairy Tale of Two, there's a scene where it's basically statutory rape because like you know because remember it's an anime game, it's a visual novel from Japan, and we all know that age gaps are a huge issue. Yeah, that game is impossible to find in store.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Like if places don't want to sell it, then like yeah, fair enough.
Like it's visual novels. Those games are literally canceled. They're just outright banned from public.
holy shit, most of the rated AO games are only on Windows.
And you know the original Fate Stay Night game actually had an A rating.
How do you even get an A rating? Because nowadays there's just a lot of games where I feel like they could be A
Oh,
rating.
because you know why? Because they're underage. That's why. Because like Rin and Shiro and Fate Stay Night, they're underage. And in scenes in the visual novel, like there are like sex scenes between the two of them.
Can A-rated games be put on Steam?
Yeah, bro. There's literally like a shit ton of like hentai games on there.
Oh yeah, that's why you can't actually find the original version of F.
Yeah, scroll through free to play for a little bit on Steam. You'll find A-rated stuff.
That's what's called adult visual novel. That's the genre of all these visual novels. I mean, look at the cover. Have you seen the cover of it? It looks so innocent and it looks like it's a teen game. But when you play it, it's not. It's like really fucked up and emotional.
Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was gonna be A because of the hot coffee mod where you could have sex.
Oh yeah, I remember.
But they just took that out and it was no longer A.
The game called Conan Exile for consoles, they made it to where like the nudity was taken out.
Oh, remember the God of War mini games? You guys remember that, right? God of War mini games. Remember? They don't show up, but you had like click all the buttons. Like Kratos gets with these like two goddess women, but they don't show the scene. You just have like knock over like a flower base. You remember that, right?
I never knew the series, so no.
But yeah, God of War had those like sex mini games in God of War.
W.
Like, Kratos fucks like 2 Roman women.
Sigma.
Oh yeah. Okay, so Microsoft does not support AO. PlayStation does not publish any adult-only games. Damn.
Like, I just feel those get canceled and banned. Like, for me, I just think they should be in store, but why not? 'Cause that's the easiest way to get them.
I mean,
Let's
businesses have
see.
the right to like refuse service, so I mean, I don't see why not.
I feel like there's also probably other games on Steam that would fit the AO rating, but it's like I don't think Steam particularly does that, does it?
I don't think so.
I mean, just imagine there'd be a company out there. They're like, yeah, we're making just strictly OA rating games.
I actually think I got a good one here. So this is
Especially-
the third topic. Is climate change an excuse for authoritarian policies, or is it an existential threat that justifies them?
Authoritarian. You would consider paper straws authoritarian? Because, like, that's one thing I hate about it. We don't need to do paper straws. We can simply just do reusable straws,
We
like
can
reusable
simply
aluminum.
do a thing called tilting the cup towards your mouth and not needing a lid or a straw. They're cutting out two massive things. Well, maybe a lid.
But it's like people still like straws, so like honestly, a metal straw, like if restaurants just had like reusable straws, you know what I mean?
Metal straws, yeah,
Yeah.
like they don't even taste that bad. I mean, also some paper straws aren't that bad either. Like
Some.
as long as they're coated in like some sort of wax, they're usually good because like you don't taste the paper. But some of them, like especially, I don't know what it is, but if you ever go to A&W and they have like those paper straws there, they just disintegrate with the root beer and they eventually like taste like paper. Like you can taste the fibers getting sucked up the straw. It's so gross.
But I guess to continue on with the prompt, I think you could do it without authoritarian action. I think we could still address climate change without being so authoritarian. I guess it just depends on what you consider authoritarian.
I mean, yeah, like, can we give like a policy?
It's more
like, anything,
bothersome.
for
That's what's
example,
happening.
that,
The
like,
whole climate, the regulations. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm for good energy. I do believe climate change is real. It's just that our approach to the issues, like to avoid pollution, it's more distracting and bothersome than helpful. Like, again, plastic straws. I mean, like the plastic straws being like substitute paper straws. That's just a major bother. And also, grocery stores getting rid of all plastic and just simply using paper. Again, that's paper. While it's still good, many times paper can be faulty.
That's true.
See, I feel like if we're talking about like bags at the store specifically, weren't paper bags used before? Like, wasn't that the thing?
Yeah. It's just that it's more in demand and that we're using cheaper resources of paper, and that cheaper paper is not of quality.
There is also reusable tote bags you can buy, like at checkouts.
Yeah, those like reusable bags, like it's not paper or plastic.
Those ones are freaking good.
Yeah, I like those ones.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anything really is happening that's like authoritarian in the name of like climate change. I don't really see anything.
They're
like
just
that.
bothersome. That's it. There's really no authoritarian action of climate change. It's just a bothersome substitution. Oh, how about bullets? Remember lead, like certain bullets used in guns? Instead of lead, they switched, I think, copper or something like that, or certain specific type of like bullet
Coppers are
quality.
used in bullets.
That's because
What is
lead
the
is
bullet quality
that's
that changed? Because remember, they changed the quality of bullets now, so it can be more eco-friendly.
well, the lead. First of all, the lead thing is a war crime.
What do you mean lead is a war crime? It's like used in every bullet ever.
Again, what is it? Because I remember Obama era, there was like a regulation on bullets, so they can make it more eco-friendly.
I mean, it's like steel or something.
Are we talking about climate change as in like lead inside of oil, which is a thing?
No. We're talking about, is climate change an excuse for authoritarian policies or an existential threat that justifies them? So we're like talking about different policies that governments have put in, and we're talking about, are they justified or are they authoritarian?
Do you think climate change is real, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
I don't think anybody here disagrees with climate change.
What's a policy you don't like with it then? I don't want to rehash everything. I feel like I came a little late.
What's a policy that I disagree with? Well, in Canada, I don't like the carbon credit system. I think the carbon credit system's a bit ridiculous, but I don't know if you guys know about that. I don't really have many things that I think is insanely authoritarian. We were basically saying that, is it like authoritarian to like switch people to paper straws? Like, is that authoritarian? Or like forcing people to use paper bags? Is that authoritarian?
I think it just depends like how I wish there's like because I haven't looked into it at all. If there's like a thing where I could see it's like I don't know what would be a metric that paper straws would be helping with, like I don't know, like the ocean one, right? Maybe like pounds of trash in the ocean decreased by 10% when we used paper straws.
In my opinion, when it comes to like climate change, I don't think that physical pollution is as bad as atmospheric pollution. Because
definitely. Yeah.
Atmospheric pollution is way more destructive. perspective. And it seems that most of these companies are just targeting pollution done by like physical means, which I think our priority should be atmospheric pollution before physical pollution first. Because like
You can attack both at the same time.
I mean, like, yes, I think we can, but I'm talking about, like, I feel like the government today cares more about physical pollution than it does atmospheric pollution.
No, I disagree. Don't we give at least the U.S., right? We give credits for electric cars and stuff.
We do,
Like,
and
especially in
for
Cali.
solar panels.
Electric cars are, like, absolutely way worse than, like, regular internal combustion engines, like,
That's
by, like,
not
a
true.
long shot. That it absolutely is.
Oh,
Because
in
No,
what
like,
context?
we can talk about how they're equally as bad when you talk about the lithium, but they're not like substantially worse. No.
well, no, the methods that they use to get them are worse. I wasn't talking about the cars specifically. Of course, the cars
Oh,
specifically
then I mean, yeah, you can talk about that. Yeah.
are bad. I mean, there's also a lot of drawbacks. The fact that most of the U.S. or large portions, because it really depends by state. Like, if you live in the state of Washington, like a lot of your power grid is powered by hydroelectric or like natural means. But if you live in somewhere like, I don't know, like Kansas or like somewhere that's like less flat but like doesn't have much good natural like geography river wise, most of the power comes from like coal and like other sources. So like, the power plants that they build will be used to offset, the power lost from having electric cars, which is usually done by like coal or other dirty means. So it's like you're kind of just replacing one bad thing with the other. I mean, that's an issue of like in the future though. Like I think that can be solved. I mean, I don't know.
Oh,
like,
electric cars a good thing?
yeah, I think they're a good thing. I mean, personally,
Okay, that's good.
I bet my money on hydrogen though, or like hybrids or CNG. But that's kind of
I think hydrogen's. I think the infrastructure's a little harder, and I don't know. We're just not really moving there. I believe the only place like we even have like hydrogen like refill places is California. I don't even know if those exist anywhere
in
else.
Canada, we have quite a few places, but hydrogen is absolutely like the better option out of electric and internal combustion. Hydrogen is going to be able to easily, when the technology catches up, make way more power, be more space friendly. I don't even think there's an issue with the emissions because you literally just do electrolysis to extract hydrogen, and then you pump hydrogen into an engine and like combine it chemically to like make water, and then that makes electricity, which can be used to power the car. So like it gets better range than current battery engines, and it's like cleaner, and there's like no byproducts from driving it. So like,
Well, yeah, I haven't done the research, but sure, yeah.
it's really efficient. I mean, same with hybrids as well, but that's a different discussion, to be honest. So like, I think, I don't know, it depends. Like, it depends what policy you're saying. Anyway, next topic. Is the idea of sustainable capitalism realistic, or do we need a total system change?
I think all the social psychologists say no. I don't know.
Sigma psychologists. What's your thoughts on that, Mace? Because you're not really a capitalism supporter.
I think a partial destruction of the system would not be too harmful. Like, for example, like the concept of Elon Musk's Doge. Like, I actually kind of like it. You know what I mean? The concept.
I hate it.
What is actually happening from it is awful. The concept of like going in and seeing, okay, well, we're kind of spending a little too much here. Maybe we should, tone it down a bit, or, oh, this is getting entirely too underfunded. We need to fund this more. An institution that could go in and do that, I feel like is fantastic, and I would love to have something viable that would do that. And I feel like just through that you would get a lot of, I guess, aggressive reformation.
All right, Jarvis, give me his exact
like conservative
location.
economic
Alert
policy.
McCarthy.
Jarvis, give me what? What are you?
Jarvis, give me his exact location and context. Senator McCarthy.
Jarvis, can you it a little?
Yo.
Okay.
Real.
I mean, my thoughts is like, I think we should just take BlackRock and sell off all of its assets and holdings, distribute it to different groups. Yeah, personally, that's my take. I think we should just like do wealth redistribution, but reform our current system heavily. Like, I think fucking personally, the tax system in Canada and the US is so dog shit. It is actually horrible. Places like Russia, and like, I don't like using Russia for an example, but like they do one thing good. Your taxes are done by the business or the government. Like, fucking IRS knows how much you have already. In Canada, like, we have the CRA, Central Revenue Agency. They already know how much you owe. Why don't they just tell you how much you should receive or how much that you should give, and then that's it? I don't understand why we have to do everything and report every single thing we do. Like, I understand it's like to cross-reference things, but at that point, make businesses do that. Like, make companies do that. Like, I don't know. I think it's a bit ridiculous. That's like one gripe I have with modern regulations and taxation.
You opened up like really strong there, and it was just like sort of a. Oh, dude. I was about to go to something else. But yeah, I guess it's annoying. I don't really know why it works like that either. I haven't thought about it too much though.
I mean, like, especially, like, another issue I have is, like, the amount of barriers to international trading you have. As soon as you open up trade in another country, or, like, you try to, like, do cross-border finance, your taxes become, like, a fucking nightmare. Like, you have to sit there for a day and figure out every little thing you do, because if you, like, get something wrong, your IRS will be on your ass. Or if you do any, like, make a little mistake, or, like, forget something, even if it's something where the government loses out on money, they'll still be on your ass. Or sorry, not the government will gain money. Like here in Canada,
I just found something.
Yeah, go ahead.
So there's two things. So it looks like there could have been like a free thing where like you could have just had the number you need to pay. But in 2007, the House of Representatives rejected legislation that would provide that because it would be like competing with the private sector who was already making businesses like that, I guess.
See, for things like
Oh,
that,
so it's
I
probably
don't
a
think there
job
should
thing.
be any private sector for that. Like it's our
Yeah, I
tax
guess I
money.
agree. Yeah.
It's literally our tax money. That if anything should be federally funded or federally taken care of, it should be the thing that gives our money to the federal government.
I wonder how many. I guess there's some really big businesses off of that, though. They'd probably be pissed, but it's probably better for like the world or just the U.S. I mean, but,
I mean, if we're talking in the case of like
So tired.
TurboTax literally like I don't even know what you essentially tricked people into paying for a service that you didn't even know you were using. I was actually a victim of this myself. I went through my whole tax process the same exact way that my girlfriend did it. She didn't have to pay a dime. I apparently got some kind of little assistant helper thing or whatever, and it would not let me go back and refile the freeway. I had to pay $40 something to actually file my taxes, and I feel like that is like the
I think
grossest thing you
capitalism's
can do.
pretty damn good.
In Canada, you have to like declare if you bought textbooks. I'm not even joking. That's like a thing. My friend almost missed on it and submitted his taxes, and if he would have gotten shit for it. Like he would have got fined.
That's
because
retarded.
Yeah, that's the shit I'm talking about. Like it's just so stupid. Like little details like that. Like it's ridiculous. Like I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
those things should be declarable in a sense of I think the government should be able to like see your purchase history and like all that stuff, and then like
Whoa.
if it sees that you saw purchase history and you bought textbooks, then it just gives you the bonus automatically instead of you like looking at everything. I don't know. Taxes are just insane. That's my thoughts on it.
No, I don't fuck with that because
Oh,
like,
yeah,
if the government has like a whole list of everything you've purchased, that's just not fucking it, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think they should have
already
access to your
do- they
purchase
already-
history. I feel like that's a little authoritarian.
I mean, they already do though.
I mean, yeah, but they at least have to start an investigation for it, and even then, that's not right.
Well, I mean, I don't care if they look at it. It's just that they can't discriminate for you on it.
I mean, I care if they look at it because that's an infringement on personal liberty.
I mean, I don't know. I see that differently because, like, just for them to get the ability to observe it doesn't necessarily mean anything, like, in my opinion. Or it
I mean,
means,
sure, but it opens up the door to it in like a very substantial way.
yeah, but, like, then just make certain ways that they do things inadmissible. I mean, that's not as possible in the U.S. because your, like, court system is, like, really corrupt down there. But here in Canada, we've got there's tons of examples of people who, like, for example, there was this guy on a college campus who was, like, caught, like, or sorry, they just did a random search on him and he got in so much shit for it. I don't think the government should be able to, like, see exactly, or maybe, like, I don't know. I feel like there's other ways to do it, but I feel like just generally my idea is that taxes should be streamlined more and to make people's lives easier.
Yeah, I don't think our courts are corrupt down here, but like, yeah, I can generally agree that like if the government goes on like a random search and like, yeah, that should be inadmissible. I believe it is. Like we have a bunch of stuff where it's like if you don't have probable cause or like any reason to have obtained evidence down here, then that evidence is inadmissible and you can't use it, right? But like for like the purchasing, the main reason that I really don't like the purchasing list, and the main like thing that I see is that like while like of course like it's speculation that they would do it, it's also historically happened, and we already see this with the ATF and Waco. Does anyone else here know about Waco? Or
No, I don't.
Waco, Texas, like the siege.
yeah, the siege of Waco that started because the ATF like they had a gun store, right, and they manufacture rifles. It's like a rite of passage for them, basically. You know, like you turn like 13, you make your own AR-15 or some shit like that, right? It was super cool. But anyway, right, and then they'd sell those rifles at this shop. But the problem is that the ATF was doing like an audit, and during their purchase records, they found, because you do have to file your purchasing history, or like if you have like a suspicious order, which in this case it was gunpowder and dummy grenades, then you have to report it. But like dummy grenades are a very common thing at gun shows. If anyone's gone to one, you know that.
My friend owns one.
Right, like I have one literally like not even, yeah, it's literally on my shelf. Like these things are freaking cool. But anyway, right, like the government saw that purchase, they were supposed to do a search warrant, but instead they were incredibly hostile to the Davidians and it ended up leading to the siege. Just shit like that, you know.
Whoa. You watched that whole video? You need to like and subscribe right now. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to have the ability to put your 2 cents in on the conversation, then join the Discord, and I will see you in the next video.